Hi, everyone. Welcome. So glad you're joining us for today's webinar on gouache. We are going to be getting started here in just a couple of minutes, so stay tuned. Housekeeping, if you run into any technical issues or buffering or anything like that, there will be a replay that you'll get sent in your email when this is all over. We're going to be giving away some prizes today, so make sure you are active in the chat and getting your name out there so we can call your name. And we do have a special URL we're going to put up on the screen as soon as I'm done talking. That'll tell you where to go so that you can be in the chat that we're pulling our winners from. So we're going to hang tight for just a couple more minutes and give people a chance to log on. And I will see you back here in just a couple minutes. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are here to get started for our gouache, Eric's new favorite painting medium for travel. I'm Carrie Stoper. I'm going to be helping moderate today, so hang with us. We're excited that you're here. We're going to have some Q&A, watch Eric's demo, so take some time, turn off all of your distractions, and just hang out and let's talk art. For those of you who are new to us, Streamline Publishing, that's the company we work for, is a publisher of several art magazines. We've got newsletters, art events, retreats. We have art instruction courses, over 700 of them, if you can believe that. And everything that we do for artists can be found at streamlinepublishing.com/art. Here at Streamline, we love artists and we love art. So we're here for you. If you experience any technical issues during today's broadcast, there is going to be a replay. So check your email in a little bit after, maybe an hour or so after the event ends, and you should have a replay there. Why don't we start off with some giveaways? That's always the fun part, right? So if I call your name, type "I'm here" in the chat, and then we'll put an email up on the screen that you can send us an email so we can make sure to get you your prize, which is always so fun. So the first thing I'm going to give away is an easel brush clip that I just almost knocked over. This is Eric's handy dandy little invention. Clips onto your easel. I clip mine onto my, my pastel backing board, and I have all my little blenders and everything in here. Very handy to have. So we're giving one of these away, and the winner is going to be Dan Wetzel. Dan Wetzel, you are the proud owner of a new easel brush clip. Send us an email so we can get that to you, Dan Wetzel. And then the next thing I want to give away is one of my favorite things, the value specs that Eric worked on. Very specialized red lenses to help you see your values, taking out all of the color. Incredibly helpful for organizing my pastel box. It's my favorite thing. And I also struggle with values when I'm painting, which I absolutely hate. So these are very handy to have. So I'm going to give one of these away, and that is going to go to Liz Roselio. Liz Roselio, you get some value specs. We're going to take your name down and send us an email. So Liz, congratulations. And then the next thing I have a couple of videos that I want to give away. These are some really great gouache videos. The first one is from Larry Moore. It's a best-selling video. Even if you don't paint in gouache, this is such a phenomenal video. He does demos in oil and gouache. It's so good. It's so well-rounded. So I highly encourage this to anyone. So we are going to give this video to, let's see who's here in the chat, D. Swain from Southwest Virginia. D. Swain, congratulations. Send us an email, winner@Streamline Publishing, so I can get you a copy of your video. And the next one is Michelle Usabelli's gouache video. This, again, another bestseller, such a great video. I love her painting style. So much fun to watch her. And this video is going to, wow, chat's moving fast now, Jeff Hammer. Jeff Hammer, you are getting Michelle Usabelli's Painting with Gouache video. Congratulations. Don't forget to send us an email, winner@streamlinepublishing.com, so I can get you access to your videos and your brush clips. We'll get all of that stuff squared away for you. And we do have some more giveaways later at the towards the end of the broadcast. So make sure you stay tuned and you're active in the chat so we can call you to get a fun little prize. Like I said, we are going to have Q&A with Eric. So please, throughout the demo, drop your questions in the chat. I'm going to collect all of those. And then a couple times during the demo, we're going to stop and do some Q&A and get those questions answered for you. So welcome to gouache, how it became Eric's new favorite painting travel medium. It's my favorite medium now too. Don't tell pastel. We're so excited for this. And most of you probably know Eric already. He is around a lot, doing a lot of things with Art School Live. He's hosting all of our events and everything. But for those of you who don't know, Eric founded Streamline Publishing way back a long time ago. I won't say how long ago. We started with Plein Air Magazine. That went away for a little bit, and we had Fine Art Connoisseur. And now we have both magazines back. So they're pretty awesome. Fine Art Connoisseur for collectors, Plein Air for the outdoor painter, obviously. We also have multiple newsletters. So we've got Inside Art, Pastel Today, Realism Today, Fine Art Today, Plein Air Today, and American Watercolor. And Eric also, as I mentioned, hosts our events. So we have the Plein Air Convention. That's our in-person plein air painting event every May. And then we have artist retreats like Fall Color Week, which is going to be in Acadia National Park in October, Paint Adirondacks, and then Winter Artiscape, which is painting, somewhere warm during the winter months, which is always fun. We also have our online art conferences like Gouache Live coming up next week, actually. Plein Air Live, Realism Live, Watercolor Live, and so on. We have a lot of events. We're always doing fun stuff over here. I love it. And some of you might also know Eric from Art School Live, which is his weekday YouTube show. He does it every day at 12 Eastern. We've got marketing, we've got critiques, we've got demos from different artists, all kinds of things. Such a great way to learn art for free. So be sure to check that out and chat with Eric while you're there. As you can kind of guess, Eric's a little bit passionate about art with all that he's done. He's also a painter himself. He does landscape, he does portraiture, and that is part of the reason that we started PaintTube, is because he couldn't find good quality instruction when he was first starting. So he wanted to create some fantastic instruction courses to share with everyone. So we have over 700 videos with leading masters from around the world. It's pretty awesome what we've been able to accomplish over the last 15, 20 years. Eric is also the author of the best-selling book, Making More Money Selling Your Art, as well as some art marketing courses through PaintTube. And yeah, so with that, let's bring in Eric Rhodes. There he is. Hey, Eric, how are you?
I'm wearing the Chinese version of Value Specs.
There you go. That's a different take on it.
And what's nice about them is they flip up.
There you go. Nice.
Right.
Very,
Hi,
very
everybody.
stylish.
Would you guys give Carrie a big round of applause? Carrie is one of those people that you always hear about them, right? If you want to get something done, you give it to a busy person. Carrie is the busiest person that I know, and she just does such a great job. She's very involved in running the company now, and she started out, 12 years ago?
14 and a half.
Wow. I'm sorry, I should have remembered that. 14 and a half years ago in basically an admin position, and now she's just moving up. Next thing you know, she's going to be pushing me out, and so that's okay. I mean, you'll be in good hands. Thanks, Carrie.
Yep.
Hey guys, welcome. I'm glad you're here. There's several thousand of you here, and I guess that means there's some interest. What I thought would be fun, I was on Art School Live the other day, and I had mentioned that I had done this video of painting in China while I was in China last July, a year ago, July. And I said, maybe I should show it. And everybody's like, yeah, you should show it. You know, we never get to see you paint. And there's a reason for that. I don't really do that a lot. But I thought we would do that today. And so what I'm going to do here first, before we get into anything, is I just want to tell you a little bit about this trip. Now, I'm going to play something for you that is a promo for a China trip that we're doing this fall. Now, I'm not playing this for you to come along on that. Actually, the trip is already sold out. We did find out we can get a few extra people on it if you want to come, but that's not the purpose of this. I think it really gives you a sense of why I was in China, and I think that it's worth spending the couple minutes that it takes so you can see that before I show you the demo on painting. So let's roll that right now real quick. When I was invited to China as a cultural ambassador for American plein air painters, I almost said no, but I went anyway, and I want to tell you what I found. I felt like I had been lied to, not by my friends, but by a story about China that has been possibly exaggerated by the media. I went expecting a tough and difficult trip, and what I found was the most modern country I've ever seen. Stunning architecture, beautiful people, clear skies, extraordinary food. Not one person in our group even got sick. Not once did I feel watched or followed or unsafe. We stood on the Great Wall, not one wall, there are 3 parallel walls. Each are huge, miles deep, stretching to the horizon. You cannot understand it till you see it. I've seen pictures of it. I couldn't believe it when I saw it in person. At the Forbidden City, I expected that one building we always see pictures of, but there were 900 buildings, massive numbers of buildings, and they were all stunningly beautiful. In Beijing, I spoke to college students about the plein air movement, and I sat with professors from China's equivalent of Harvard for the arts. We traveled to Qingdao, painted a winery that looked like Napa Valley. We painted and looked down on ancient fishing villages from mountain peaks. We attended ceremonies with city officials who treated us like visiting dignitaries. There were probably a dozen ceremonies on our trip. Then we boarded a high-speed train to Qingdao. The world changed again. met by local artists, treated to karaoke, and we painted in ancient gardens, Buddhist monasteries, the largest Buddha in the world, carved into a cliffside so tall you could stand at his knees. The views were amazing. We visited the giant pandas. We took a tram ride nearly straight up into the clouds to paint at the top. And then something I never expected. I was told one of my paintings had been selected for the permanent collection of a Chinese museum. There was a ceremony, city officials, flowers, music, a ribbon cutting, a speech I had to give in front of everybody. And then we all painted together on a 30-foot scroll side by side. Chinese artist and American artist, no language barrier, just paint. These people love what we love. They feel what we feel in front of landscapes. The same obsession, the same joy. We are the same. There's so much more I've not shown you and so much more to see. I have to go back, and I want to take you with me. Everything I experienced, the paintings, the people, the discovery, the ceremonies, all of it is waiting for you. You'll meet Chinese masters, visit Chinese art supply stores, even come home with lots of unique goodies, and we'll paint daily and we'll play tourist in between, seeing the most important must-see places and painting some iconic Chinese landscapes and Chinese culture, enough to build an entire show around. This is the artistic adventure of a lifetime, and it only happens one time. Anyone can go to China on their own, but it's rare to go and meet Chinese artists, get to know them, and paint where they paint, spots that tourists never see. This isn't just a trip, it's a lifetime experience that I've curated with my trusted friends there. And because we're going to so many special places and having so many special experiences, I cannot take a large group, so attendance is limited. So join me in China this fall. Okay, so now you have a feel of the trip. You just ignore that promo. I mean, it's showing the idea of the trip. I'm not doing this to try to get you to go on the trip. It'd be nice if you want to go. You want to find out about that. We can tell you about that later. So today we're going to talk about gouache, and the reason I brought up China is because gouache is my new favorite painting medium. So here's what happened to me: is I've been an oil painter now for, I don't know, maybe over 25, maybe 30 years. And I've always traveled with oil painting, but there was a moment when something clicked and I said, I got to try something different. I love oil paint. Don't get me wrong. I still do mostly oil painting, but I'll tell you a funny story. So I go to Russia and I'm flying in by myself and somebody's going to meet me, but they sent a car. It was a taxi cab. And they met me at the airport and stuff. And I thought, well, it's a weekday. I need to get a couple things done. So I said to the cab driver, I need to go to an art store. And the cab driver is like, I don't understand you. And like, we're trying to figure this out. And this was kind of before Google Chat or Google Translate. And anyway, it took me about 20 minutes while the cab meter is running to get the guy to understand art supply store. So we finally show up at this little art supply store. It's small. And then I go in there and I'm like, I need turpentine, or I need solvent. I need something to paint with. And I'm pointing to bottles and they're like, nobody understands me and I can't read the stuff. Anyway, I walked out of there and I ended up painting literally with nothing to clean my brushes. Now, I eventually figured out I could get some olive oil or something, and that worked. But I have, every time I travel to Europe, I end up going to an art store. Now, I like to do that anyway. I like to see what they have. It's kind of, we all have the same things, but once in a while you see something different. But I always end up going to get something to paint with. Even when I was in Italy recently to go to the Florence Academy, went to the art store and I wanted to do some oil painting. And so I went out and found some solvents and stuff like that to paint with oil. But, it's kind of a hassle. And so I've kind of gotten to the point where I really needed to commit to something else that was going to be easier. And so when I found out I was going to China last year, I thought, I don't want to take oil paint. I love oil paint, but it's too heavy. So somebody had given me a set of gouache, probably at the plein air convention. And so I started experimenting with that, and I liked it a lot, but I was struggling with it for the first few paintings. It was just not something I was used to, because it's kind of a blend of watercolor and it's not oil, but it has that opaqueness. You can't see through it. You can make it watery. So I was experimenting with that. I finally got to the point where I could do a pretty good job. So I thought, well, I'll take it with me to China. And the other thing is, I didn't want to carry a bunch of panels, right? The problem with oil paint, for me, is panels cost a lot of money. Sometimes 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks a piece or more. And panels are fine. I have tons of panels, and I carry panels in my car. But I was given a 50-pound extra bag limit, and I thought, if I take a suitcase full of panels, for a month of travel, I'm gonna regret that. And then panel carriers and all that stuff, and then getting wet paintings back. So I just thought, I don't want to go through all that brain damage. So I decided to take gouache, and so I took gouache, and I took some brown paper, some brown craft paper, and I just basically took one solid panel, and I would tape my brown craft paper to that panel so it wasn't blowing around in the wind. And that way, when I came back, I had 50 paintings, and they took up this much space. And I thought that was the way to go. Well, what I ended up doing right before it, I remembered that I had some multimedia art boards, and multimedia art boards were made on this special material, and they had canvas mounted to them, but they were super thin, so you could carry 50 of them in this much space. And so I took brown paper, but I also took the multimedia art boards, and I thought, I'll try those, because that way they're not flexible. That'll work pretty well for me. But I made the mistake of not realizing that they were oil primed. Well, oil and water don't mix, right? So when you put water on top of oil, it beads up. So I never bothered to check that. I had the brown paper with me, so I was okay too. And so I took these multimedia art boards with me to China, and they're wonderful. And sadly, that company is out of business today. I was probably one of their last orders. Anyway, I went to paint on this multimedia art board, and my paint started beading up. But I really wanted to paint on it, so I just powered through, and I just thickened up my paint a little bit. And you're going to see this happen on the demo I'm going to show you. But anyway, that's kind of the story of how we got here today and why we're here. We're going to talk about gouache. It is truly my new favorite medium for travel. I like to paint with oil paint, and I, if I can paint out of the back of my car, once in a while I'll take it with me, but usually it's gouache. So I'm going to show you how I used gouache during my time in China. I did a demo in China. I'm going to be telling you about Gouache Live, our event coming up, in hopes that you'll consider that. Carrie mentioned my background, and most of you already know my story. I won't bore you with much of it, but I want you to know that when I was learning to paint, it was difficult, and it shouldn't have been that difficult. First off, I bought paints at an art store. I didn't know what I was buying. And then I started doing paintings, and they were awful, and I didn't know how to fix them, and my paint was clumpy, and there were all kinds of problems. My wife's like, you need to take a lesson. So I took a lesson, and the guy's like, you just need to express yourself, throw the paint on the canvas. And so I tried that, and I couldn't get my heart into it. And I said, well, can you show me how to paint like a flower or a bottle? And he says, oh, nobody does that anymore. So I quit the class. I gave up painting. I put all that stuff in the basement. And then, a few months later, I thought, I need to try this again. So I tried it again, and it was still horrible. And then I kind of stumbled on to somebody who could teach me. And he's somebody who opened my eyes to the right way to teach. And when he taught me, everything changed for me, because all of a sudden I was painting much better paintings, and I understood the process that you should go through to teach. And then I started going to museums and things, which I'd never done in my life. And I remember I went to a museum in San Francisco. I saw a Bouguereau painting, and I cried, because we had been copying Bouguereau, old masters copies. And I cried because I thought, I can't imagine what somebody went through to do that kind of exquisite art, to be able to see the veins under the skin. And how do you do that? And I thought, this man really really struggled to learn how to do that. Knowing what I'd gone through, I thought, man, this is pretty amazing. And it was at that moment that I said, I'm going to devote the rest of my life to art. I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I had a business in another area. And so I got somebody else to run that. And then I started working on art. And then I started Plein Air Magazine. Then I started Fine Art Connoisseur Magazine and so on. The rest of the story. So I've had a lot of bad experiences. And I know a lot of you too, you also have had bad experiences. And I had two different instructors say to me in different ways, Eric, you mean well, but you shouldn't be painting. And one guy was just flat out, look, you don't have what it takes. You don't have talent. And I believed that. And I gave up. And then I tried again. And another guy said, you shouldn't be painting. And I just want to tell you guys, if you're paying attention to this, that you do not have to go through that kind of a pain. You're going to have to go through some pain. Learning to paint isn't easy. It's actually simple, but it's not easy. If you follow a process, it's like following a recipe. So anyway, I'm devoting my life to helping you guys embrace art. And the reason we're here today is because I think a lot of artists are overlooking a very useful and frankly more fun painting medium that's available to us. And I noticed about 2-3 years ago, I noticed that some people like John Burton and Scott Christensen were talking a lot about gouache, and I got more interested in it. And so I told myself I could spend the rest of my life just figuring out how to master oil, and it's true. But I get more fun when I'm playing around with other mediums. I've been doing a little watercolor, a little pastel, a little acrylic, a little of everything. But now my two primary mediums are oil and gouache, and watercolor would probably be my third. But if you paint in other mediums, you don't have to you're not cheating on your medium if you try something new. So anyway, we're going to get to this right away. So anyway, I added this to my toolkit, and that's how gouache happened for me. So let's do this. I'm going to roll this video. This is pre-recorded, of course, in China. And I'm going to stop it at a few minutes in, maybe about 15 minutes in. I'm going to answer some of your questions. Then I'm going to go back to it some more, and then I'm going to answer some more questions. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Gouache Live, and then I'm going to finish it up, and we'll answer some questions at the end. So let's go ahead and roll that now. Now, I want you to keep in mind
the Funglong Mountain
problems. Here we go.
From throughout China, plus people from Russia, Australia, America, and other places. And we're here just painting together, enjoying the scenery. And most of the people here are watercolor painters. Today, I'm going to be painting in gouache. There's so much beautiful scenery here, but I like this old house. I like the old house in the distance. And I think the white house in the distance is going to be my focal point. And I'm going to have a trail leading into it. I'm going to have this tree to frame it. I'll put a little of this old house in it, and maybe a little of the gate, maybe some of the other elements. I'm not sure till I do it what the composition is going to look like. This is my gouache kit, and I have a different kit for oil, a different kit for gouache, a different kit for watercolor. This one was designed for international travel. It's still too heavy, but my goal is have everything in a roller bag or a backpack so that I can easily move around, right? This roller bag has really big wheels on it, which is great in muddy trails and things like that. My goal is everything goes in the backpack. If it can't go in the backpack, I don't need it. My tripod, this is a brand new one I got. And it's carbon fiber, and it's instead of a round tube, it's an oblong tube, and I really like it. And I like it because it's got a quick release tripod. This is an Easy Air from EasyL Artwork Essentials. I have many of their easels. I have many of other people's easels. I don't have necessarily a preference. I picked this one for China because it's lightweight, it's small, and it's pretty versatile. I bought a tray that goes with this, clips onto the side, and I'm painting on, this is multimedia artboard. It's a canvas panel and it's oil primed, which is not a great idea for gouache. It's better not to have oil primed, but if you paint it a little thicker, as you'll see, it'll be fine. I put 2 or 3 boards together because the strength of this spring is so strong that it bends them otherwise, but I like them because they're great for travel. They don't take up a lot of space, and they are they're super good. I'd rather do it on there than on paper because it feels like I've got something I can throw in a frame. So I keep all my brushes in a brush holder, and I carry far too many. But I'll use these for watercolor, for gouache, for oil, so I have different brushes. And I have different favorites. I use a lot of synthetic brushes for gouache, but I also use some things that you wouldn't expect, you know, like some oil brushes. I lay out a piece of paper towel, and I also sometimes carry one in my hand, but I like to just lay it out, put some water on top of it. I buy these little flat water, folding water cups. They get dirty pretty quickly, and I have 3 or 4 of them in my bag in case I want to have more of them out or I lose them. But they're just real easy, lightweight, and convenient. So I'm going to go through my palette real quickly. Most of my palette is using a warm and a cool of most colors, but not always. And there are some convenience colors. For instance, this is called Permanent Green Light. I usually like more of a limey green, but I forgot it for whatever reason. I use different brands. So this is a Daniel Smith color, but I also have Turner color in here. I have Winsor Newton color, and I have Holbein color. So I didn't fill out everything here. I have a cobalt blue. I very rarely ever use it. There's cobalt blue. There's ultramarine blue there. There's an olive green, which I use to make a dark, dark green. This is a Van Dyke brown. You could use a burnt umber. And then here is a transparent brown oxide, a transparent red oxide. Not very transparent in gouache, quite frankly. This is a alizarin crimson, kind of a weird colored alizarin crimson. There's a cadmium red, and then there's a brilliant red, which I don't use. A bright lemon yellow, which is kind of a cool yellow. I have a little bit of Indian yellow in there, but I don't really like this one, so I'm not going to use it. And then I have this deep yellow, permanent yellow deep. And then I have an orange, which I sometimes use to warm things up, and I have a white. Whites are really tricky with gouache. Some of the whites get real cracky, so you have to just try different whites. I also have 3 little colors here that I sometimes use. One is called Wisteria, one is called Opera Pink, and one is called Lilac. Sometimes these are good for graying things down, and sometimes I like to just have a little punch of color somewhere, and I'll lay it down underneath. I also have a color here called Neutral Gray, number 8, which is just a neutral. It's kind of a warm neutral gray, and I use that oftentimes instead of a white because it helps kind of take the colors and kind of neutralize them a little bit. So where to begin? Well, you've got a bright white canvas, and one of the things, sometimes I'll paint right on the white canvas, sometimes I'll tone it. What I like to do, this is a little Chinese brush that somebody gave me, one of the people here in China gave me, and I like it a lot. So I'm just going to take a little of this gouache, and I haven't got a lot of water in it. This is pretty much gouache right out of the tube, and I'm just going to start laying it down. And if I get too much water in it, let me just show you, too much water, it'll bead up. See how it beads up? And so I don't want too much water on it. Now that won't happen on paper, but it will happen when I'm doing a oil primed canvas, and I really shouldn't be using an oil primed canvas, but I wanted these multimedia artboard canvases because they're great for travel. They're a little bit stiffer than paper, and they I can get 50 of them, you know, and they take up about 1 pound. They don't take up much space. These are 9x12s. And so I'm not necessarily trying to fill in every little white hole. If I wanted to, I could scrub it a little bit more like this. And that's an option that'll get things in the holes a little bit more. I'm not looking for any particular pattern right now. I'm just trying to cover white. And I'm going to take most of my canvas in this case because I'm not going to show much sky, and I'm just going to go ahead and cover the whole thing. And I can wipe it down with a paper towel. I'll just get some down here, and then I'll wipe it down in a second. And I like, sometimes I leave these streaks in, and they'll show up somewhere else. And once in a while I'll take just a little bit of another color, a brown, sometimes like pink, and I'll just incorporate it in there because it just makes the background a little more interesting and a little more fun. And that's what we're here for anyway. We're not trying to be too serious. We're trying to have some fun. So this is almost dry brushing here at this point. And I think I'll take a little of this pink and put it here because there's going to be a tree over there, I think. And that'll be kind of nice to put under those greens. And so, again, this is, I don't paint the same way twice ever. I have kind of an approach that I take, but not too much. And if I wanted to, I can leave some darks in, here and there, just to kind of mold things out. So now what I'm going to do is try to figure out what is it I'm going to paint. I've got a scene back there with a little house, and so I'm going to just ask myself this: what I want is kind of a cool purpley color off in the distance, and I don't know where I'm going to place this house yet, so let's just see what happens here. I'm going to have, there's another house in here, and I don't want this to be too centered, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to bring this up here, bring this other house up here, and is that centered? No, but I'm going to move it over just a little bit because I don't want it to be centered. And then this other house will come forward. So I don't want things to be dead center. This house comes down kind of like this, and then there's a big dead spot. Nice dark spot right here. Now that came out a little purpley, or a little more like a traditional alizarin. Get this a little darker. And I'll just bring it down just a little bit more. All right, that's going to be my darkest dark. And this concerns me because the top of this wall is dead center. So I'm just going to bring it down to here and change that. So I'm just going to wipe this out. Nice thing about gouache, until it's dry, you can wipe it out. Okay, so let's see. That's dead center still, so I'm going to still take this out just a little bit more. I can go back in and put some of that other color in there. Doesn't matter. I don't want to be too far down because I want to have this path leading me in. And so we'll have that path going like that. I'm going to have some plants up in there, have this wall in here. We're going to have a tree here. We're going to have this building is going to be here, here. There's a hole in the wall in here. Have another building over here. And plants. And it's a pretty simple composition, really. So now we have all this foliage in the background, and I'm just going to take a little bit of this purple with a little bit of green, and I'm just going to start smushing it in like that, because there's going to be a tree. There's a big tree here, and I might want to put a big tree in front of it. If I do, it's going to be too dark probably, but got that tree there. And then in the background, because it's going in the distance, take a little of that gray, a little of that purple. Let's see what it looks like. Maybe darken it up just a little bit. And okay, so this will look like a distant tree back behind the house. And then there's some foliage there's going to be a tree coming down here somewhere. So I'll put that in there, maybe put a little of it back there so it just looks like there's some distance. You notice I'm not being careful. I'm just being very loose at this point. If I want to be careful, I'll do that later. Now, I'm going to put in just this pure neutral gray as my sky.
All right, it's time to pause. Thank you, guys. What I want to do, because I'd like to be able to answer questions as they come in, what I'm doing there is an underpainting. And so the first thing I did is I toned the canvas with a transparent red oxide, pretty much. Then I kind of laid in with some darks my roof lines, and I kept moving them because I don't want anything to be dead center, and I don't want my horizon to be dead center. And so I kept moving it as adjusting it. I probably could have drawn out a thumbnail or something first. That probably would have been better, but that's how I did it. Got my darks in, my trees, and got my basic sketch in, and that's the foundation. So what I want to do is just have you guys, Carrie's got some questions that she can field. I just should mention to you, I have the information on the tripod, just looked it up, and we'll share that with you. Also, I'm happy to answer any questions. I want to say hello to Turkey, to Germany, to let's see, I saw people from all over the world here. Let's see, who else was it? France, Sydney, Australia. Yeah, man, that's really great. Another one from Bernard in Germany. There's two people in Germany, Pixel Pro in Germany. And anyway, it's nice that you guys are watching from all over the world. We have Gouache Live coming up next week, and it's a 4-day online event, and we will get 20 or 30 countries watching that. So, Carrie, do you have any questions that you want to bring up real quickly, and then we'll answer those?
Yeah. So first question is, what kind of paper? So you talked about you use brown paper. So then there, why brown paper? Why not watercolor paper or, any of those things? So there's lots of different surface options. You want to talk about those? I know I have some handy.
Yeah. So what a lot of gouache paper, a lot of gouache people paint on watercolor paper. And watercolor paper is a really good thing to paint on. I want something that's a little stiffer because I don't want anything buckling. Now I'm putting a hard panel behind it anyway, and I'm usually taping it because I want an edge, but I don't want it buckling because gouache can crack if it's too thick, and I'd rather have a solid surface. The thing I've learned about gouache is you can paint on almost anything. You could almost paint on glass. And the water beads up in the beginning, but if you can get less water in it, you can paint on aluminum panels, copper panels, regular panels. What you saw me suffering there was I was getting some beating up on the oil primed. That's not ideal to paint on, so I wouldn't recommend that. But I use brown paper first off because I thought it'd be kind of fun to try it, and I tried it, and I really loved the effect because it gives me a middle tone. And so some of that brown shows through. It's very similar to a lot of us will tone our canvases. We'll put a color on canvas and then do that too. It just, I'm not painting on bright white when I'm out there, which kind of closes down your irises. And it's just very pleasant for me. It's kind of a style that I'm adopting, I guess. But you really can paint on almost anything. One of the things I found is I went to the art store and I bought a bunch of, called it multi-medium boards, not multimedia boards, but basically things that can be used for anything. And so I've got a pad that's got brown paper, gray paper, blue paper, red paper. It's not construction paper because that would be too thin. The water would make it buckle. And even on the brown paper, I got to be a little careful with that because it's fairly thin. But I guess that's the answer. You can paint on anything. We had Allie on today on Art School Live. She was painting on watercolor paper, on I believe Arches paper, 142 pound cold pressed, and she loves it. And I haven't even really tried that, so I should try it. I'm getting ready to go to China this fall, and so I've got to figure out what am I going to take, because I'm going to be gone a month, Japan and China, and so I want to carry a lot of stuff, but I don't want to carry a bunch of heavy stuff. Carrie?
Okay, very helpful. The other question is brushes. Do you use acrylic brushes? Do you use watercolor brushes? Do you use oil painting brushes because you're an oil painter?
I don't. I have found I've tried them all, and bristle brushes or thick, sturdy synthetic brushes are pretty heavy for gouache, and because you're kind of using kind of a watercolor thing. So I use a combination of things. First off, I went to the art store and I picked up these little cheap packets, 5 brushes for $1 or something of cheap synthetic brushes. And I don't normally like those, but they work really great for gouache. And then I have, just a smattering. I have one of those brushes right here. Hang on a second. I have a little kit that I carry in my briefcase. This is this big. And this has in it, it has my brushes, right? It's got a pencil, it's got some brushes, I've got a little water spritzer, a little water bottle. I even have, hang on a second, I can't get it back in. I have my little water cup that we talked about. And I carry in some of these small canvas panels. These are Stonehenge. They're real tiny, but if I want to just, I'm like in a hotel room or I'm somewhere where I just want to do a small painting on an airplane, I'll do that. And then I have some little larger panels. I guess those are the same size. And then I have this really handy dandy little box. This is my travel palette. Now, it's not the one I would use if I was going to China, but I would use this in my suitcase. This have these little pans, and these little pans are magnetic, and so if the green is going to go, because of the green screen, the green's going to go invisible there. But it's basically, you get these different size pans. I've got a lot for white over here, and these are all dry and they're even flaky, but as soon as I spray them down, they're going to be fine and reconstitute. And that's one of the things I like about regular gouache versus acrylic gouache, because acrylic gouache, once you put it in here, it dry and then you never get it out again. And so something like this is real simple. And then I have right in this, I just have a few brushes, but this is just a little synthetic brush. I don't even know what brand this is. I can't even. Oh, this is a Royal Talons, but I get it. Princeton has quite a few of them. This one, I think this one's a Princeton. And Rosemary makes a special line of gouache brushes, which I've not tried. I'm very anxious to try. And I suspect that I'll probably fall in love with them. I also have this brush, which is a watercolor brush. And you notice I chopped off the handle because it was too long for my little case. But this is a long, round Princeton brush. And it's nice for those, those tree lines. And then I usually carry a little rigger or something so I can get some long lines. So that's the answer, Carrie.
Perfect. Well, we'll save some of these questions for the next time. I want you to go ahead and keep going with your demo.
Okay, let's do it.
My color. And I'm going to do it, let's see, I'll do it right here, just so I can kind of remember it. I can change all that later, and I can go ahead and put some sky holes in my tree if I want to. We'll just go ahead and lay this sky in. Now, the sky should never be completely even. And so you can take, this is a gray, gloomy Chinese day, and there's some clouds up there, so we could actually use some of this lavender, put in some of these clouds. And lavender is a nice, fun color to work with. We can just kind of, now if you put it in too thick, it's going to crack. And you can get a nice nice wash. Now that I've got that first wash down, you can get a nice wash down to get a nice coverage if you want to. Again, I'm not too worried about it right now because we're not going for perfection. We're just kind of trying to lay in the thing. Now there's also a big green over here, but I've got to decide. I've got a tree. I think I'm going to put that tree in here. So I'm just going to lay in some of this front of this tree. And this is just a out of the tube green. Got to be careful that white is wet. I shouldn't be putting it up against there yet. So I'll take it right up to the edge, but I'm going to have to fill in that tree later. The nice thing about gouache is it's like watercolors, it dries very fast. And I want some of that underpainting to show through. It gives it some sense of texture. Okay. Now, the next thing is I'm going to go ahead and put in what I think is going to be the color of my green grass in the foreground. That's a little bit green. I always put a little bit of red in my greens. Let's see how this looks here. Let's just see, that's the hole. That's pretty bright. Now this is going to dry a lot darker anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and get a base coat in, get where I'm going to put some of my other stuff. I don't know, there's a pile of bricks over there. I might try to put it in, I don't know. Get a little variation in your color, darks, lights, keeps it interesting. This is just an underpainting anyway, so it's not going to matter that much. And maybe we'll bring it up here where that pile of bricks is. And now, got a little bit of this on the other side, kind of a bush-like thing over here. I'm not worried about where my brightest colors are going to be and my darkest darks are going to be yet. I'm just kind of laying things in. And this is all pretty overgrown. I don't want this to be too perfect. And there's a fence line in here I'll probably try to put in. So let's try to get a little of this color in here. And there's another blue color in there. It's kind of a bluish color and it's kind of behind the fence. So I'm just gonna, that's a little too blue. Put it in there. By the way, one thing you can do is if you want your greens to recede, you can put a little blue in them and put it towards the back, and it'll just make it feel like they're going to recede. We'll fix that later. Now, you know, there's always a problem of what's your focal point and do you have too many focal points. The nice thing about an old wall like this, I can kind of do anything with it. You've already got this texture back here, and so I think I'm going to lay in some color. Now, do I want the color that I see there, which is kind of a gray? To me, that's a little boring. So I'm going to take this gray. By the way, these things dry out on your palette pretty fast. I'm going to make this more of almost a red brick kind of color because there's some of that already. And I'm going to do almost a dry brush because I want some of that underpainting to show through. See how that creates that beautiful texture in there? And we can just go in here and some of that purple or some of that opera pink is going to show through. Some places I want to have a sharp edge. I can do that nicely with this. This is just a cheap brush I got at Michael's. I have expensive brushes and some of them really pay off, but sometimes it seems like for gouache, just the cheaper the brush, the better. So this gives me a little variation. I'm just going to put a little of this lavender color in here, just to give it a little variation here and there. It gives it a little spice. And this building is going to be probably where I'm going to try to bring the most attention. Now there's going to be a shadow, and I'm going to make it a warm shadow. And I'm just going to put it right under the line here. Then I'm going to just kind of drag it in. So I just want it to be a little bit darker. It could be a little darker still. If it gets too dark back there, it's going to be a problem because it won't have a sense of receding. So I'm mixing a little blue in here. I'm going to go try this one more time. That's a little better. Now, because this dries pretty quickly, if you want to get rid of an edge, you got to do it pretty quickly. You can't easily go in there. You can re-wet it. And there's a lot of mush in here, right? So there's some dark areas. So I'll take some of this dark. And I'll just create some of this mush in here. Mush meaning patina, right? A lot of patina. You know, a lot of variation. Now, is it what we see? No. What we see is less important because what we want to do is create a good painting. I'm going to go back in and get some more of that dark. So I usually carry a spray bottle, and I'll spray this down once in a while. I don't want it to get too wet. I oftentimes will end up doing my whole painting with this brush, or well, almost the whole painting with this brush, because it's just so convenient. You just do so much with it. All right, that red is showing through just a little too much right there, so we'll just pump this up just a little bit more there. And we have this edge over here. Now, there is another building, and the other building is a red brick building, and it sits a little bit forward. So I'm just gonna, and it's a lot darker, and it's not focal point, so I'm just gonna put it in here. And there is a big window in it. I don't want to bring too much attention to it, too sharp of an edge, because it's really not what I'm trying to accomplish. I don't want to bring too much attention to that. I want to bring the attention to this here. Now, anytime you have a dark spot, this was something that was taught to me when I first started painting 153,000 years ago, is just put a little bit of something in there that's a little bit light, just a touch of something that creates a sense of, oh, there might be something in there. So now I've got to put that other wall in, and I want it to be very similar, but I don't want it to draw as much attention as this because it's not the focal point. So I am going to put it in, and it's drawing too much attention. So I'm going to see if I can make it darker. Sometimes I have to let that dry. Okay. So the reason I don't want it to draw attention is because I'm going to make this my focal point area. So I just want it to kind of feel like a continuation, but not the same thing. You can take texture, drag your brush while that paint is wet, or while it's dry. You want to create some texture, you can just do it like that. And I got some texture up here. We can put a little texture. We can add texture if we want. There's a lot right around here. All right. So it's coming together pretty simply right now. And so I've got some decisions to make. What am I going to do next? I've got this road or this sidewalk. So I guess I could take this almost the same color and put it in a sidewalk color. That's a little too soupy for my taste. But lay that in. Now we're going to want it to be, we don't want it to be straight because it's all funky. It's all messy. So because I got a lot of water, it's actually pulling up. See how it's pulling up that white? And that can be a real advantage. If you wanted to take advantage, I'd take a dry brush, fairly dry brush, and just go in here, start pulling out the whites, right? So if I wanted to do this, which I think I'll try to do, you could do it with a paper towel too. Just go in here and see that. That gives me a nice bright white, and it's not technically all painted, but who cares, right? So that kind of gives me what I need. And if I wanted to, let's just try it for grins. Let's take a little of that color on there too, and let's just wipe out a little bit of the edge of this building. Too much? Probably. You leave some of it in. Now once that dries, we can go back in there and play with that if we wanted to. But what that does is that says, okay, the sun is hitting that, and there's a spot inside this dark area that is, I can see it back there. You probably can't see it. There's some bricks. So I'm just going to lay some of those bricks in there. You got to be careful because you can screw it up when you put water on it too. Okay, which I've done. So we'll go back over that and just kind of get that reduced down a little bit. Okay.
All right, I think
Creates
a good
little
time to
interest
pause.
back there. Now we have.
All right. Okay. We'll continue that in a minute. We're going to continue with some questions and things. I hope you're enjoying this so far. In case you just tuned in, that was we're doing gouache in China. When I was in China last July, a year ago, July. I got invited back for this July, but I didn't go. But I am taking a group of China in October, which is pretty cool. And we've sold out that trip, but we just found out we can get a few more people on because we decided to get a second bus to make people more comfortable so we can fit a couple more people in. Anyway. Okay, so I just want to tell you a little bit about what's coming up because we're going to have some Q&A in a minute. We're going to play some more of this, but if what you've seen today has made you curious about gouache or trying gouache, I'd be curious. Go into the chat. Have you, yes or no, or just say, yes, I've tried gouache, or yes, I want to try gouache. I'd like to see you guys come up with in the chat. You got a lot of people coming in, watching from all over the world today, so thank you for that. It's kind of fun to do this. I don't do demos very often, and the reason is I'm just too busy. But it's kind of fun to do it. It's kind of fun to watch my own self paint. It's weird to hear your own voice. I know. Anyway, now if you want to know why I'm more excited, it's because I can do so much with gouache than I can in a lot of other situations. And one of the fastest way to really understand this medium is to watch a lot of great artists at work. One great way to study gouache or any painting, quite frankly, is to try to copy great artists, because you can learn a lot by taking a master copy and trying to get the light right, the color right, the edges right, all of those things right. But a completely different way to do that is to actually watch master artists. Because if I were to put you in a room with, let's say, I don't know, 6 or 8 top artists, and you got a chance to watch each one of them, they're all going to do it differently. I'm doing it one way. Some are going to do different subjects. They're going to do different styles, different approaches. Some are going to use thicker paint, thinner paint. They're going to have different ways of mixing. They're going to use different tools. They're going to simplify the scene, the edges, the color, different ways, deciding what to leave out. And that's why I created Gouache Live. And Gouache Live is a 2-day event. Instead of trying to figure all this out on your own or traveling around the world to study with a dozen different artists, or flying, getting on airplanes and flying to do workshops, which is perfectly fine. But, you'd spend, I just saw a workshop. I thought maybe I'll attend that. And it was $9,000. It was $9,000, including, room and board and food and everything, but it was still $9,000. And we're going to bring you the very best gouache painters live today in one place. Next week, directly to you online. You get to sit over your shoulder and watch every brush stroke, see their palettes, hear what they're thinking, ask them questions while, like this, while it's on their mind. So let me just read you some testimonials real quickly from people who've attended in the past, because I think this is important. Next slide, please. So this one was from Martha. We don't make this stuff up, by the way. I don't know who Martha is, what her last name is, but she said, I learned so much. Thank you, Eric, to all who coordinated this event, and to all the wonderful artists who did demos for us. What a great day. I look forward to it again next year. That was from Martha. We had, last year, we had over 2,200 people, and I don't know, 20 or 30 countries on Gouache Live. The next slide. Thanks, Eric and Christine and all the wonderful artists introducing us to a wonderful medium. The event reinforced my previous experiences with gouache, but it also added more information and, of course, more questions. I signed up for next year's event too, Karen. Great. We're looking forward to seeing you, Karen. Next one is this. It was a very productive day following along with the demos today. It was my first time using gouache, but I've been using watercolor and acrylic for years. I learned a lot, plan to practice. I'll enjoy the replays. Thanks, Eric Rhodes, for all of those at Streamline Publishing. I appreciate the work behind the first Gouache Live 2025, and that's from Teresa. And the next slide is, I loved it, and I'm now hooked on gouache for at least plein air sketching and journaling. Cindy, that was me. It's like, I need it for travel. Okay, so Gouache Live is next week. It's August 20th and 21st, 2 full days. We have a lot going on with it. We have 2 full days of demonstrations. And let's see if I can change the slide. I can. Okay. We have demonstrations from 10 different world-class artists. By the way, we produce Plein Air Magazine, Fine Art Connoisseur Magazine. We know who the best are. We know who the best teachers are. We know who the best artists are. We know who's good at both. We have live Q&A. So you can actually talk to great artists like John Burton or others and ask them questions in real time, kind of like what you're doing with me. We have pre-event materials seminars that you can attend from some of the companies that provide these materials. You can ask them questions about how they make it and what they do and how to use it best. We have a cocktail hour paint along, and that's fun. We all get to know each other. We also do breakout rooms, and we're like small groups of 8 or 10 people, and that allows you to get to know other artists around the world. We've had a lot of people make friends and touch base and kind of discuss what's going on. We have a virtual vendor hall. We have several vendors who are offering their products, usually at deep discounts, and you can buy them right there in most cases. They might be brush vendors. They might be gouache vendors. They could be paper vendors. They could be all kinds of things. So you might want to check that out. So it's Gouache Live online, and we have a world-class faculty. Sarah Burns, who is a YouTube star. She's huge. She's one of the most important gouache painters alive today. and she is a big fan of Gouache Live. She's also a big fan of a lot of the things we do. She's been to some of our in-person events, like my Adirondack event, and she's going to be teaching on Gouache Live. I'm not going to go through each one and give you information on it, but I will give you some highlights. John Burton is one of the great gouache painters in the world, and he is a movie guy, right? He uses gouache to create the scenes that they're going to use in movies, and you can get this vibrant color and these wonderful feelings for things. Rachel Dowd is going to be teaching. Kathleen Dunphy, who is traditionally known as an oil painter, but she's using a lot of gouache when she goes out, and look at the beautiful effects that she's getting. Emily Hughes is a portrait painter, and you're going to learn a little bit about portrait painting. Larry Moore, who's the expert on creativity, he uses gouache. He's a former illustrator, and he's going to show you how he uses it and all the creative things you can do with gouache. Patty Vauger, it's hard for me to pronounce, harder for me to spell, I guess, is going to be teaching. Jesse Winchester Schmidt, fabulous landscape artist. Elo Wobing, what an incredible artist she is. And Ali Zaire, who I had on my show today, is going to be teaching in Gouache Live. So there's really 3 ticket options. You can go to Gouache Live, 2 days live, for only $77. You think about that. What do you spend at Starbucks? You go and get a couple of cups of coffee. You do that 2 or 3 times, you're at $77. Gouache Live is only $77 if you want it with no replays. If you want a platinum ticket with replays of 60 days of replays, and that's our most popular, it's most people do, it's only $117. So it's really not much more than what you would pay to watch it live. And then a lot of people like the Diamond, which is 365 days of replay access, a full year. So you can go back over and over and over again. When you paint, learn, go back, paint, learn, go back. It's only $167. Like I said, you can easily spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars going to workshops, and we love workshops. So we have a price increase on Sunday, August 16th at midnight. The price is going to go up considerably. And but I'm going to give you bonuses today when you sign up in the next hour. And first off, I'm going to give you a Vicki McGrath video from Gouache Live last year in our pre-event seminar. And that's got a $157 value, $197 value. We're going to give you Tiffany Mang's gouache instruction as well. We're going to give you Judd Mercer's gouache instruction. He's very popular. And so you're getting all 3 of these videos. They're worth about $595 if you buy them direct on our site. And we're going to give all 3 of those to you for free when you sign up to Gouache Live in the next 1 hour from the end of this broadcast. We give you 100% money back guarantee. Watch it or love it. And that means if you watch the first full day of Gouache Live and it's not for you, so let us know by the end of the day. We refund all your money and you got your first day for free. Okay. Payment options: credit card, PayPal, Venmo, Apple Pay, Google Pay, Shop Pay, etc. It's Gouache Live online, 20 and 21st of August. That's next week. And again, if you can't make the dates, you can get the replays. And so we hope that you'll do it. I'll tell you a little bit more about it. As a matter of fact, what we ought to do, let's just take a minute with a little bit of quiet music. And we have this special link. If you want to sign up right now, just go to that. We'll just do this for 2 minutes. And then we're going to get back to the demo. And I'm not going to talk about this a whole lot more, but just 2 minutes from right now. And just go ahead. And that offer of the special offer with the replays is something that ends today. So it's something in the next hour from when we end this broadcast. So you get those extra bonuses today. August 20th and 21st next week, you're going to be able to really learn and up your game. If you've never painted before, this is a really great place to learn to paint. I think it's the easiest medium. if you want to learn a lot of different approaches and styles, it's a world-class faculty. And it's only 2 days. And of course, if you can't make it live, if you got to go to work, you got kids to take care of, whatever it is, you can watch on replay and watch it over and over again, depending on which package that you choose. Please don't share this link. This is for people who are watching this event today. It's not for everybody. That special offer is just for you guys in the next hour from the end of this broadcast after we're done with the demo. But if you go in there now and sign up, that'd be a really good thing. We really are very close to the next, let's see, the next, I think we've only got a couple hundred seats left to hit last year's number, which was pretty big. We'd like to beat it by one, and we just have to beat it by one. So you could be that one. All right, I'm going to be quiet for a second and let you just continue to fill that out, and I'll be right back. Okay, I think we're going to go back and complete this demo. You guys can have Q&A afterwards, continue asking questions about the demo and gouache painting, and you guys will have until I will start the 1 hour clock when this broadcast ends, so you have a little extra time to sign up and get those. Somebody asked if I signed up before, can I still get those videos? Yes, of course. We'll make sure we'll take care of you. You just have to email us on that. The picture behind me is the Great Wall. We went to the Great Wall and it blew me away. It was so cool. China is very cool. I didn't know what to expect. I had a lot of people say, don't go, they're going to harvest your organs. and I just had such a great time. I think there's a lot of stuff out there that's not true. There may be stuff that's true too. That may be true, but I came back, my organs are intact. If they'd have taken a little of my weight, I would have been happy with that. Okay, let's go in and continue playing this demo right now.
We have the roof, and we have the tree, and let's see, what else do we have? We have the front yard. So the front yard is basically, it's got dirts and chickens. You can't really see that. Let's just see what we can do with dirt and chickens here. Just go back in here, lay in some, we really want this to be dark because we want it to not draw too much attention. So maybe darker than that. I add ultramarine blue if I want things to be really dark. I can leave some of that color showing through, and I can also put I'll put some foliage and some grass and stuff in there. Now, I have this big tree that I'm going to put in. So trees are silhouettes, typically. Not always. If they're in light, they're not silhouettes. This one is not in light. And I don't want to really mess with my composition too much. This tree is pretty cool, so I'm going to go like this. And I'm going to curve it down. Sometimes just a touch of water. All right, so now I've got a big shape in there. Now I can take that big shape and continue it off. I got to be careful not to lead the eye out. This one here curves around real nicely, and we want to have that curve in there. We're going to have, remember, foliage over a lot of this. And there are spots where the tree is showing through. I've got a lot of right angles on this right now, but that's okay. You'll see why in a minute. Keep in mind your branches are leading the eye. Now, I've got some other branches that I'm going to use a different brush and come out with. I'm going to take a little of my sky color and make a sky hole a little bit darker. Just a little bit of color on the edge of this branch. Maybe that one. And we're going to take a little bit of color in here. We'll take some up in here. Now I can always do that later. Just doing it now to remind myself. All right. So there's a lot of detail that we're going to get to in a second. But now we have the whole canvas pretty much filled in. We have to make some decisions. Am I going to put that big tree back there or not? I think there's a tree in the front yard, but I don't think I'm going to put it in. I think I'm just going to keep the one in the back behind the fence. We have no edge on that fence. Let's get that edge on there. All right. And I'm going to take and darken that edge along this house. And I don't want it to be perfect. I want my lines to be broken up. Right? Because if it's perfect, it's not interesting. All right. Now, the color of the bricks on this house, similar problem. And that is that the color of the bricks on the house are not a color that I would expect would be brick color. Or the tiles, they're more of a gray color. I'm going to fake it and lay them in at a different color because I want to. And put a little orange in it. Now, there's a decision that has to be made. There's not a lot of light hitting right now. So that kind of reads like light. So I need a darker version of that. That's probably too dark. So I'm making that feel like more of a tile color. And then this other one is going to be the same. Now I'm going to take some of that light and put it on here, and then I'm just going to carry that light across. I'm going to lighten this fence a little bit too. I'm kind of liking the idea of making this fence the focal point. This is kind of what's going on in my head now. All right, so that's a little contrived looking, but we'll put a couple things in there to maybe a little lavender to kind of neutralize some of that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, just while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to pump up the light on that tile right here. All right, just bringing a little attention to it. I think I'll bring a little of that to the roof, just so that it kind of highlights the roof a little bit. And again, I think what we'll do, we'll just pull a little bit of light out in here. It's just like the sun is doing something here. Doesn't take much. Yeah, I like it. Maybe I'll throw a spot of light in somewhere. Maybe unify that just a little bit. I don't know. We'll see if I like it later when we're evaluating it. Right now it feels like it's a bit, almost a bit too half-tony, or like there's a hole in the building. I don't like it. So I'm just going to go back in and take some of my color. Just state it back in. It feels almost like a window. You know, it's painting is a constant give and take. You know, you're experimenting. It's never going to be exactly what you think it's going to be. And that's interesting, because part of that is dry brush looking and the part of it's not. So I think what I need to do is to go in here and lay a little bit of dry brush over here. Oh, wrong color. Okay, it looks a little funky. That's just a little bit much for me. All right, yeah, all right. So I think what we're going to do is move to a smaller brush now and start working on some other stuff. I guess a decision needs to be made about the tree in the background. I don't want to draw a lot of it. I don't want to bring a lot of light in here. I don't want to draw a lot of attention to it, because I want to draw most of my attention in here. So I'm going to put some green on there. But let's see, that's kind of blended in. Got to be careful with your brush strokes. So that'll dry a little darker, and we can kind of take some spots where the tree is kind of coming out. We don't need a lot there because we're really just trying to show that there's a tree in there, not much more. So pretty basic. We'll put in some stems. Go ahead and do that now. Got to be careful not to make them too dark or they'll stand out too much. So every painting should have a dominant horizontal, a dominant vertical, an arch, and preferably a dominant vertical. I haven't really got a dominant vertical in here yet. I'm not sure I will. We'll see what we end up with. Might end up just pump up that light just a little bit more there. Okay, now I usually use this brush here, which this is it's called an Egbert brush. And I'll go in here and start messing with some stuff in some detail. So there's a tree in the background. I'm just going to kind of lay it in so it looks like a tree. Very soft edges, very fuzzy. That looks like a tree. There's more over here. And maybe just a little bit in here. All right. So now what am I going to do? I've got to figure out, this is a pretty simple painting, and I want to kind of keep it simple because simplification really works nice. I don't have the big tree in here, which you see, but I do have this big tree. The tree has some moss on it, and moss is fun to paint, usually blue and green, so I'm going to just put some green in here, soften up this edge. And the green, you got to make sure you don't lose your form. Right now we don't have any form, so it's not a big deal. But we're going to start laying in. I like to have 3 values, right? So I want to have a sense of, remember, gouache is going to dry a lot drier or darker. So I'm going to have that, and then I'm going to have a pretty bright and hopefully people will go, oh yeah, that's moss. All right, now we'll finesse this tree a little bit. I'm going to put a round edge on that, and I'm going to make that kind of a brown. And that makes that edge a little darker. That, in theory, will help turn the form on this tree. And we're going to put a medium in there as well. Get some darks on these branches. Remember, we had darks on these branches before, and it's just that they just didn't dry, I guess, as dark. Maybe gouache darks dry lighter. I don't know. So I'm going to take a couple of branches and just have some fun with them. Now I duplicated the pattern there, which I don't want. So I'll figure out how to fix that in a minute. This is going to need a lot of branches. Your brain is going to say, oh, those are branches. You don't have to have a whole lot of them. Now we're going to take a medium brownish color. We're going to put a little of that on this tree here to create a little sense of, that's just a little too bright. Maybe when it dries it'll be better. Create a sense of form. There's no real hard light today. It's a very flat light day. So now I have this fence to worry about, and I don't know. It's a medium value. It's not too dark. Maybe like that. Maybe could use a little bit darker. I think I made it too. Fence gets closer, you want it to be darker. It's kind of a wonky fence. Even though I don't see the fence line going in a perspective like that, I'm going to fake it. I want it to be wonky. And then we're going to carry it across here. Put a light color across the top of that. And maybe on I don't have anything in that yard yet. So maybe I'll put a little greenery in there. I could put a chicken in there. I'm not sure it would look like a chicken. And we need some foliage in here. And because this is a focal point, we're going to pump up the light right there where that's happening. Maybe on the other side as well. We don't want a whole lot of light in a lot of different places. We want to just kind of bring it down to focal point. Whenever I put a green on and I forget to put red in it, it doesn't look right. So it's weird being in China and painting with other painters. You know, we all have everything in common for painting, but we don't understand each other. We don't speak the same language. I don't know if you can hear them talking in the background, but they're talking. All right, so we're going to pump up the yellow right there against that purple. Doesn't need to be everywhere. Now, we got to get a little light on that tree, just a little bit, I think. So that's too much. Kind of feels like the light is hitting it. That's a good thing. And then we have this far forward tree. We're going to make that a little bit warmer because it's coming forward. And it kind of does some weird droopy stuff, which is kind of fun to do. Be careful not to obscure my original roof line. There's a way to get rid of that branch. I don't want a regular green going down there in front of that other green. That's why I made that kind of red. This is needing dark in there. I need a good dark in there. Because that dark didn't go very dark. That's the thing about gouache, is things change pretty rapidly. All right, so looking pretty good actually. Just need a little bit of finessing here and there now. This is going pretty fast. I'm not trying, don't go like this. Don't do every little brush stroke. I mean, you can, but just get in there and play, have some fun. We have that stack of bricks back there. I don't think it's going to make sense if I put it in there. See what happens. I guess your brain could go, oh, I wonder what that is. I think it just is distracting. There is some light in the background, but I think I'm just going to be careful about that. So let's see, evaluate this. We get a little bit of, we've got some light going in here. Probably need to pump up the light on the fence posts just a little bit because there's light in there, right there. Maybe we'll make that even brighter. Didn't have to be on all of them. Didn't have to be on the whole thing. Light gets dappled, right? You don't have to have everything perfect. That kind of feels, so you get a little warmer light. A little yellower light. I think it's looking okay. Probably could make, I don't know. At this point, I'm just grabbing at things. I think the bricks are probably not all that great. They're there. Put them in there. Got a dark in the forward corner. Let's get it nice dark in here to help everything else recede. And let's get some of that dark here. I could put a chicken in there, but let's see if we can do it. I don't think it looks much like a chicken, but yeah, it could be a chicken. It could be a very abstract chicken. All right, so put a little bit of light. There. And we're going to put a little bit of don't think that's going to work. Got to wait till that dries probably. Or we take a paper towel, wipe it out. Oh. Well, we don't want that. Could be interesting. Have something back in there. It's bricks back there, so maybe we can do that. Well, I could put some I don't know that it needs it, but I could put some texture on these. I think it's good. I'm going to put a touch of, I don't know why, just feeling it, touch of red back into here. And then I think just maybe a little more foliage here. Lizard crimson into yellow-green makes a really beautiful color. Makes your greens rich. That's not what I want there. Don't like that. I think just a little bit of branch work and then we're going to be done. You know, I'll look at it again later and I'll say, oh, it needs something more. One thing I'm lacking is a dominant vertical line. So this is a vertical line here, and sometimes you can do an what's called echoing. So you could I could take a tree branch and echo that and continue that vertical line in there. It would seem strange, but let's see what happens when we cover up part of it. Maybe it won't seem as strange. Your brain still says there's a horizontal line there. That actually looks like the fence line, so that could work. And then tree branches. If you want something to stand out, put it over a light, right? This tree comes all the way over, but if I do that, it's not going to look good. But I will bring a branch. So by overlapping that branch over that tree, it makes that go back, recede. My tree branch is looking like Chinese calligraphy, which is only appropriate, I think, considering that we're painting in China. Whoa. Let's get a little light on that. think that's it. A lot of other things I could play with. Maybe I could get a stick or two up in here. Like I said, don't do that. But that's an opportune time to do it. There's a bunch of stuff down there. Just kind of lean in. Different colors. There's some bamboo covering that door. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to be bold, and we're going to put a spot of white right here somewhere. That makes it really stand out. Doesn't take much. Maybe a spot of that. On there. And sometimes just take a little spots of white. And something in there. Okay, I'm going to step back. I don't think I need the chicken in there. I think I'll take it out. I'm taking the chicken out because it's not adding anything. If I wanted to take the time and do a proper chicken, I probably would wait till I'm back in the studio. I could do this. I could put some spots of color in there. That could be anything. It could be vegetables. It could be chickens. It could be. All right. So I was just putting some tree holes in, and I'll look at this. There's nothing wrong with taking it back to the studio and working on it or making a copy of it. You're going to see things then that you don't see now. Gouache is relatively new to me. I'm just now getting to the point where I'm getting good at it. It just takes some practice, takes a little time, but it's really fun. It's really been great for travel. Having gouache, traveling to China, not having to carry all the heavy oil paints and the solvents and everything that goes with it, just so much easier, and yet I can get that sense of oil, but it's also gives me a sense of watercolor because you can do some watercolory things with it as well. So it's really fun. I encourage you to try it. Thanks for watching. I'm Eric Rhodes. I think it's very funny. Everybody's like, no, not the chicken, not the chicken.
We're going to go into some questions real quickly, and then we'll give you the offer one more time, just in case you don't forget it. But one of the questions, Josie Figueroa said, did that palette work out for me? Yeah, it worked out for me. It's just a cheap plastic palette. I put my paint out. It lasts a long time. I don't use that anymore, but it actually, I was thinking about it. It's pretty convenient. Then it's just easy. But what I use now is I got a little box on Amazon. It's got little wells in it, and I can hold 30 colors, extra colors. I don't use all of them most of the time, but I can put deep wells in, so those colors will last me for months, other than maybe white. So I do carry my tubes with me in case I need something, but they're small tubes. Gouache tubes are relatively small. So one of the other questions is, why, of all the things you chose to paint in China, did you paint this old farm? Well, we were out. We traveled through several different areas, cities, villages, things like that. I painted a lot of traditional Chinese villages. This is a quick study. This is not. I see the green is kind of being weird because of the chroma key. But the idea is that, you can do a lot of quick studies. This is a portrait I did of a guy, one of the Chinese masters, and this is old gouache. You can do a lot of different things. And it just happened that particular day, our group went out to paint a farm. I painted sheep. We had about 150, 200 sheep came through our pathway. We had to move our easels. But we painted that farm all day. So I got 2, 3, 4 paintings in that day. So that was pretty cool. Carrie, do you have any questions that you want to throw up here? And if anybody has any questions, drop them into the chat. I do think that I like my setup very well. I like my rolling bag. I like my whole, my whole thing using the easel that I use. There are smaller ones. There are different kinds of them. You can take whatever you want. I'm just looking. My goal in life, one of my goals in life is to lighten my load, because as we get older, things are heavier. And plus, if I'm walking for a few blocks or something, I don't want to have to hassle with it. That's backpack. I can throw it on my back. I can roll it. Works out pretty well. And I have everything I need, including all the panels that I've ever painted the whole trip. So it works out pretty well. Carrie?
Yes. So question is, you're using a lot of layers with gouache. Gouache is water soluble. So how do you keep from lifting up all of the underlayers as you're putting more paint on?
Well, that's pretty tricky. And it actually, once it's dry, as long as your brush isn't super wet, it's not going to lift the paint. There was one instance in that video where my brush was too wet and it lifted it right up to the surface of the panel, which actually served me well because it gave me an idea to really strengthen the light. And you can go in there with a paper towel or a Q-tip and wipe down to get the white to show through if you want to. And it's one of the magics of gouache, but it's also one of the things you just have to get used to. You have, you use kind of light strokes on top of everything, and as you layer. If I did a lot of heavy water, like I did in the early stage, which was just basically a wash, then yeah, that would ruin it. But you just get used to it. It's like anything else. You just get used to it.
Okay, good. So next question is, do you imagine some of the light and the shadow when you're painting? If you're painting on a particularly flat day, do you add in some lights, or do you just paint what you see?
If you paint what you see, Carrie, you sometimes don't get a great painting. I try to paint as much realistic stuff as I want, but the nice thing about being a painter is your goal is to make a good painting. And my goal is to move things around. If I didn't want a tree there, I took it out, or I moved it, or I changed it, or I changed the shape of it. If I decided pretty early on in that painting, if you go back and watch the replays, there's a point at which I said, well, I think I'm going to make this gate the focal point. So I started wiping some of the light out of that gate and putting some light into that gate. And that kind of drew the eye in there. And then in my focal points, typically I'll put some rogue colors or some flowers or some bright colors right there by it. But I don't want that everywhere in the painting because that's going to do that. And so, yes, what happens is that sometimes you're on a cloudy day and a little bit of sunlight comes out, and there's like a moment when you go, oh, wow, that would be nice. And then it goes away. So you have to remember it.
Okay, good to know. And okay, so last question, and this is quintessential artist question. When do you know when to stop painting?
When you're done.
When you think you're done, or 10 steps before you should be done.
I think really what happens to me, Carrie, is that usually we run out of time. And somebody says, they honk the horn, they say the bus is waiting, time to go, and you're kind of slapping your materials together and going. And it's like a book. Whenever I write a book, it's never really done. I've got a new book that's coming out. I stopped, but I probably could have kept writing it for another year. It's just sometimes you just have to say, okay, I'm going to stop. Now, I never, ever, or very rarely do I touch anything up in the studio. I like to keep my plein air paintings pure, and a plein air painting is really a great exercise for people who have never painted outdoors. It's really great because you see light and color differently, you see form differently, cameras lie. And so I just kind of go until I feel like I've covered most of the bases. Now, I might look at it and see, well, I did something wrong, I screwed something up, I could have changed something. Sometimes I change it, sometimes I don't. I'll take that painting, for instance, and I'll do a great big one of that. And I'll probably do it in oil because, I don't know, maybe I'd do it in gouache, but probably in oil. And then, so I've got all these wonderful studies, and they are my memories. I very rarely, people try to buy my studies from when I'm painting plein air, and I very rarely ever sell them because I have one gallery that sells some of them. But the idea is that those are my memories. I'm going to look at that painting, 20 years from now or 30 years from now, and I'm going to look at that and I'm going to remember exactly who was standing beside me. Aaron was there with the camera and he was doing the video, and I'm going to remember the Chinese artists that I met that were kind of painting right there beside me and so on. And those are my memories. And so they stimulate that. It doesn't mean I couldn't sell them. I just don't want to give up my memories. Once in a while I do. Okay. So any more questions? All right. So not the chicken. Oh no, not the chicken. That's funny. I'm looking in the chat. So I'm curious how many people go into the chat right now and say, if you've never tried gouache before, how many feel like now that you've seen that, you feel like you could probably do it? Go in there right now and say, yeah, I think I could do it, or maybe I'm a little confused or whatever. I think that one of the reasons we put Gouache Live together, and one of the reasons we do anything, is because we want to give people the best possible learning experiences. All of this started when COVID hit. We had to cancel our plein air convention, which usually gets somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 people. And we had to cancel it. And everything else canceled for us. And we were almost out of business. It was pretty scary. And we came up with this idea of doing these online conferences to get through COVID. And so we started doing them 6 years ago, I think. And they were really popular. And then when COVID was over, we're like, okay, we're going to end this. And they're like, no, not the chicken. And the idea here is that people have said to us, look, I'm raising kids. I've got kids in school. I've got a parent I'm caring for. I've got an ailing husband or wife I'm caring for. I'm in a wheelchair. I can't get around very easily. There's a lot of reasons people can't do things. And a lot of people would love to be able to travel the world and go. Sometimes it's just about money. It's, why pay $9,000 to go to a workshop somewhere in Italy or something, when you could get a sampler from some of these great artists for, in this particular case, $97. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And a lot of people like to keep it for 60 days or for a year, and that's great too. Or you just watch it and you just let it go into the ether, and that's okay too. But you're going to learn something. You're going to grow. I mean, think about what hopefully you learned today just from watching this sample. Now, I am not at the level. I just want to be really frank about this. I am not at the level of the artists that we have on Gouache Live, and these people are much, much, much better than I am. And you're going to learn a lot from them. I learned a lot on Gouache Live last year, and I did that painting before Gouache Live last year. So Gouache Live is coming up. I want to remind you, we've got Sarah Burns, John Burton, Rachel Dowd, Kathleen Dunphy, Emily Hughes, Larry Moore, Patty Vohe, Jesse Winchester Schmidt. And we have just an incredible lineup, Elo Wobig, Ali Zaire, and we have 3 ticket options for you. We'll bring that up real quick. Every ticket includes the 2-day main event. The only difference is how much replay time you get. So the live event ticket with no replay access is normally $147, and you're getting it for $77. I know $77 may be a lot of money for some, but it's not for most people, right? You go out, I'm supposed to go to dinner tonight. We're going to blow more than $77 before we even get a bottle of wine, right? That's just what you do. And so you skip a dinner, you skip a couple of lunches, you skip a couple of Starbucks or something. $77 is very reasonable. And when you think about how it's going to change your life, because what's going to happen is you're going to get enthusiastic about gouache. You're going to have access to the gouache companies that are going to be advertising with us. They're going to be given discounts. You're going to be able to buy paint cheap, and you're going to be able to try it, and it's going to make you happy. You're going to be a better painter. I have friends, I do on Wednesday nights, I always hire a model, and I bring my friends into the studio. And my friends came over. This was the kind of before the beginning of summer, and they saw my paintings from Italy. I had just gone to art school in Italy. I went to the Florence Academy, and I did a lot of plein air painting. I had all these gouache paintings around. And I had a couple of oils, and they're like, your gouache paintings are wonderful. I said, what about the oils? They said, your gouache paintings are really wonderful. And so I kind of found my Jones, right, with my gouache paintings. And I think you're going to too, and especially because there's a worldwide trend in gouache right now. It started with people like John Burton and Scott Christensen, and everybody's picking it up because you can get the effect of the look of oil, but you can get some effects that you can't get with oil. You can't get them with watercolor. Somebody asked a question, what's the difference between the two? Watercolor is transparent. Gouache is opaque, meaning you can't see through it. And so I can paint one layer over another layer. I can make it watercolory by watering it down, but then I can give that effect of oil, and it's great. And it's lightweight. It's great for travel. So we have the regular tickets, normally $147. It's now $77. And the platinum ticket, which is 60 days of replay, and it's regularly $177. Now it's $117. By the way, these prices, that goes up on Sunday night, it goes up to $147 instead of $77. So and so you get it right now. The diamond package, which is a whole year, it's only $117. I mean, that's really a good deal. I sell videos. I produce videos. I've produced 700 of these videos. They're over $150, $200 and for one artist. And by the way, they're worth it because you get so much education. You're going to get 20 hours of video for $117. It's unheard of, and 365 days of replay access, and it's pretty good. So, I mean, that's $167. So the prices increase at midnight on Sunday, but you can get the special bonuses. And I want to go through those bonuses with you one more time if you sign up in the next 1 hour. And that's 1 hour from when I end this. And that is, you get the Vicki McGrath pre-event seminar from last year. You get the Tiffany Mang gouache painting from last year. You get the Judd Mercer. That, by the way, all of these alone are worth this. The gouache demo, you get that. It's $197 value. You get all 3 of those, and they're worth at least the $591. And we don't make that stuff up. I mean, that's what they would sell for. And so you get that stuff extra, even if you sign up for the live view for $77. You still get all that. If you sign up for the other, you just get longer replays. So it's pretty good for you. And remember, I have a money back guarantee. And I wouldn't want other people doing this to me. So my deal is, if you watch it the first day, and at the end of the first day, you go, you know what? I didn't get my money's worth. I didn't get my $77 worth, even though you saw 5 demos. If you say that to us, we're going to say, okay, we'll refund your money. And then you move on. You don't get the second day, but you're going to get, you get your satisfaction if this isn't really for you. I know sometimes $77 is a hard spend for some people. And if it is, we understand that. We want you to get your money's worth. We have a reputation. We have to live with you, and you have to live with us for the next, hopefully, lots of years. And we want you to trust us and to know us, and to know that we're going to do this. We've done over, I don't know, 30 of these events now, probably. We've done 15 plein air conventions. We always have these kind of guarantees. We really want people to be satisfied. I have my reputation. That's all I've got. So Gouache Live online, August 20th and 21st, and your special offer, and we'll put the link in the chat as well. It's gouachelive.com/offer. And this is for you people who are watching. This is not for you to spread to other people, because other people will pay the full price and be happy to do it. This is for you, and you get the bonuses, and that's going to be really good for you. So the one thing I just want to say to you guys, my dad used to say something to me that was really great advice. He said, Eric, well, he called me Rick. So he said, Rick, an education is a bargain at any price. Because if you invest in yourself, you're going to grow, you're going to be more fulfilled. I am so happy that I launched these online events. First off, we have trained tens of thousands of people. We've reached people in all corners of the world. We even just today, we had people watching in Turkey and Germany and England and France and other places, Netherlands. And we're touching a lot of lives. We're there, before stuff like this existed, how could you learn to paint? You couldn't. I mean, 10 years ago, none of this stuff existed. And here you are, you're able to sit at home in your pajamas with your dog on your lap or your chicken. We had a lady with a chicken one time, and we had a lady with a miniature horse one time. And you learn these people, you get to know these people in the chat, because they're like, they're like, hey, want to meet my chicken? And it's kind of fun. So in the cocktail parties and all that stuff, we have a lot of fun. Anyway, you meet a lot of friends. We try to help people get paired up, like if there's, you're both watching from London, and we're trying to say, hey, you guys need to know each other. And that way you can go painting together. Because we want you to be in community. We think that's important. So anyway, if you guys sign up in the next hour, you're going to get this. And I believe that you will be so happy that you did it. We have so many customers who have said they're happy. It's just not something that we very rarely get an unhappy customer. Once in a while, somebody's a little cranky and they'll say, well, I thought this was about modern art. It's like, okay, you get your refund, because we want them to be happy. We don't want a bad reputation in this world, but we believe that you will learn, you will grow. You're going to get a lot of information in Gouache Live. We only do it once a year. It's not coming back. And we think that this is something that you want. Now, if you already signed up and you email me, Eric at Plein Air Magazine, we will make sure that you get those 3 extra bonus videos that are worth about $500.
Eric, they don't actually need to email you. That's just automatic. Anyone who's already signed up automatically gets the bonus videos.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. They don't have to email me. That's great. Less email for me, better stuff for you guys. Okay. Well, that's a nice unexpected gift. Thank you. Anyway, we're going to start the hour now. If anybody has any additional questions, we'll chime in right now, but we've kept you long enough. And I hope that you enjoyed it. Somebody said, you need to do more demos on Art School Live. I'm like, no, I don't. It takes too much time for me, and I love doing it, but I don't have a lot of time these days. I've gone to China. Speaking of which, let me just say this about that. I love China. I didn't think I would. I was a little intimidated by it, and I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with the beauty, the modernism, and the classic old ancient villages. There's a thing in China that you will never experience in the United States or any other country in the world. And they are called plein air bases. Now, what is a plein air base? The Chinese government thinks plein air painting is so important. Can you imagine that? Our governments, they think plein air painting is so important, and they think it draws tourism to beautiful areas that in 30 different areas, 30 different classic areas, villages and things like that, they put up the money to build plein air bases. They're privately owned, and they put up the money to build plein air bases. They government funded them. And these are like hotels. Like we went into a hotel that had like 250, 300 rooms, and it had an art store in the lobby. So you could buy brushes and paint and paper and gouache and all kinds of things. And we're going to be on our China trip. We're staying in 2 of those plein air bases. The rest of it is all hotels. But we're going to be going throughout Beijing. You're going to do the touristy stuff that you need to do, the Great Wall, the Forbidden City. We're going to the Temple of Heaven. We're going to paint at the Temple of Heaven. We're going to paint at the Great Wall. We found parts of the Great Wall where you don't have a lot of tourists because it is 2,500 miles long after all. And we're going to the small water towns. Some of the great classic paintings were done. We're going to Guilin, those big mountains that do this, that are just massive, and lots of places in between. We have Kevin McPherson is going along with us, and I got a call from another artist last night. He said he thinks he's going, and he's a pretty famous artist, but we don't know if he's going or not yet. But there are lots of people going. Right now, we got 50 people going, actually maybe a little more than that, because we just added this second smaller bus. And so we're going to be able to accommodate people. We have translators. We're going to be able to take good care of you. If we have a woman that's going, Joyce went on my Switzerland trip. She said, I'm going to China. She's 90 years old. She's going to celebrate her 90th birthday. You know, you don't need to be able to walk far, but you need to be able to walk 2 or 3 blocks because a bus sometimes can't park any closer than that. You know, there's not a lot of physical exertion, but you need to be able to walk and get around. So anyway, if you want to come, go to Plein Air China, or pleinairtrip.com/China, and come along with us. It's going to be a great trip. We're not going to keep that open much longer. And then we will start the clock right now, 1 hour. Carrie, what's the deal?
We still have some upgrades that we are going to do.
Oh, upgrades. And we forgot prizes. I always do that, don't I?
You do always do that.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so the first giveaway we have is actually the video that you did, the easiest way in the world to paint. I can't remember how long ago you did this, but it's a really great video done by Eric on teaching easiest way in the world to learn painting. And we are going to give that away. And that is going to go to, who's in the chat right now? Let's see, Dan Foreman. Dan Foreman, you're getting that video. Congratulations. Send me an email, winner@streamlinepublishing.com, Dan Foreman. And then we also are going to do a couple of upgrades. So a lot of you guys signed up during the show for Gouache Live. So thank you. You are not going to regret it. And we're going to do a couple of upgrades. So the first one I have is someone who purchased a live-only ticket is going to get upgraded to platinum, and that is Linda Griffin. Congratulations, Linda. And we are going to upgrade a platinum purchase to a diamond package, and that is Sandra St. John. So congratulations, Linda, and congratulations, Sandra. Send us an email. We'll get you connected, and those are our giveaways. Yay!
Oh, I think we need more.
Okay, I can.
Hey, have we thought about doing a downgrade? Should we pick somebody who picked a 1-year replay and give them no replays?
That's just mean.
Yeah, no.
That's mean.
I'll tell you what. Are you ready to be able to? Are you ready to be able to deal with all the chatter?
I will try.
Okay, so it's going to go by fast. I'm going to give away a ticket to Plein Air Live, which is coming up in September. So you've got to put Plein Air Live in the chat, and then Carrie's gonna pick your name, one of the names, and we'll let you go to Plein Air Live for free as our guest. And so go in there now and do that. And maybe you can't just pick me. You got to put the words Plein Air Live.
Yep. There's a lot of them. Ooh, a lot of them.
Tell you what, I'm going to pick one from my chat, and you pick one from your chat. Okay. Kirsten Meyer from Washington. Yay. Kirsten Meyer. Okay. Now, how do these people get these?
They have to send me an email, winner@Streamline Publishing, and we will send them an email. Or we will get that.
I'm going to pick one from my chat. Okay. I'm going to give it to Artistic Ren. at Artistic Wren. I don't know your name.
Yay, artistic red.
Yay. All right, now we're not done. We're not done. We're not done.
Okay.
Let's give away plein air convention.
Okay, I won't tell the powers that be that you're doing this.
That's like a $1,500 ticket. Now you
It's
got to
more,
get there.
it's more than that. It's more than that. But
what is it? How much
yeah.
is it? How much is it?
Full price, I think it's $17.97.
All right, now
Plus
but it's
all of
still
the
on.
other stuff that goes in with it. It's still a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Now you still got to get your own hotel. You got to get there and everything else. But you got to say, here's what you got to say in the chat: plein air convention. Now, plein air convention is going to be painting Zion and Bryce Canyon National Parks this year, along with some other stuff out in Utah. It's already selling so fast that we've already close to hit last year's number, and we've already sold out a bunch of hotels. So it's not going to last long. And I shouldn't really be giving one away because I could sell every ticket, but we're going to give one away.
Yeah, you're going to get in trouble for this.
I know I'm going to get in trouble. My boss is going to get mad at me. And by the way, that's a pretty big cost to us. So
it is. So I have a winner. Are you ready?
All right.
Nina Thompson. Congratulations, Nina.
Nina Thompson.
Yay,
All right.
Nina Thompson.
Congratulations. Okay. Should I give anything else away, Carrie?
Do you want to give away a ticket to Realism Live?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's do it. Realism Live is a lot of portrait, a lot of figure, a lot of very realistic painting, some tight landscape, that kind of a thing, and some of the top artists in the world. That's coming up in November. And Realism Live, let's see. You got to put the words Realism Live in there, not yes, not ooh, not me. You got to put Realism Live in there. All right.
Fast. It's hard to keep up with you guys when you do this. Slowing it down. Let's go with Mark Zappetta. Mark Zappetta.
All right. Congratulations, Mark. Hey, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I want to thank Carrie. Carrie has got so many things under control in this company, and she's just a rock star. So give her a thumbs up. Say yay, Carrie.
Yay, Carrie. But also I would like to say yay, Amandine, because she also has way more things under control on the other side of things too.
That's what I was going to say too. So we want to thank Amandine, our producer today, and our event producer. She's doing a great job, and we're really appreciative of her. So thank you, Amandine. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in because we like to do this stuff. It's a good way to raise attention towards something that we're doing like Gouache Live. And when you guys support Gouache Live, it helps us keep going, helps us do these things. And, we made it affordable, $77. And that's very affordable. So we hope that you'll consider it. We're going to give you the link one last time. And then, I got it. So my boss just emailed me and said, we're putting you in timeout, Eric, for giving away that ticket to plein air convention. Probably blew somebody's budget. So the link is gouachelive.com/offer. And please know that offer is live. Carrie, is that live for 1 hour from this moment? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. The price goes up on Sunday, but this is not about price. It's about getting the bonuses. And don't skip this. If you have to cancel, but don't skip this. I think you will not regret it, and you will have the ability to watch the first day. If you feel it's not for you, we'll get your full money back. But you're going to learn from it and grow from it. Better artists than me. gouachelive.com/offer. And if you guys have interest at all in anything else we do, just stick around with us. We've got a whole lot more stuff coming up, including some new events, some new retreats. We have a big marketing event coming up at the end of the year in December, which is going to be Art Business Mastery to help you sell more paintings. We got a lot more stuff coming up. And so stick with us. We love you guys. We love doing this for you. And it was fun for me to demo for you today. So thank you. And the clock starts now, 1 hour. Bye-bye.